Tesla's aggressive price cuts, FISKER's Houdini trunk, VinFast's rise and fall, and more. Biggest EV stories of the week.
I think the first version of autonomous cars that we will see, what is important? Well, are they safer than humans? We're already seeing that with autopilot. Our analysis suggests that a car with full self-driving enabled is already safer than a human-driven Tesla. It's certainly safer than the national average, but safer than a human-driven Tesla.
All that and more, so let's get to it. Tesla's aggressive price cuts, FISKER's Houdini trunk, VinFast's rise and fall, and more. Biggest EV stories of the week. Shares of electric vehicle makers closed the week ending September 1st mostly higher, drawing inspiration from the broader market, which rallied on the back of some soft economic data. EV market leader Tesla experienced some volatility this week as fears of further price cuts weighed down on the stock. Yes, cash register, I would say that is a buying opportunity. Tesla takes down prices yet again, launches Model 3 refresh, and more. The week saw Tesla discounting prices of inventory Model 3 vehicles in the US and Canada, as well as lowering configurator prices for Model S and Model X vehicles in the US. Nothing there about Model Y. I wonder why. Get it? Get it? You get it. The Model S and Model X price cuts were steep, ranging from 15 to 18.8%. This triggered negative reactions from the Tesla community, investors, as well as analysts. Tesla cuts prices, everybody and their mother has an opinion about price cuts, stock market goes down, people have negative reaction toward that, Tesla quarterly results come out, break records in deliveries and production, stock price goes up, everybody says Tesla is killing it, and on goes the cycle. The company has offered all color options free of cost to the customers and pulled the plug on the standard range options of the two EVs. The pricing of the full self-driving software was lowered from $15,000 to $12,000. Tesla timed the Model S and Model X price cuts in the US to coincide with the launch of the Model 3 refresh in Asia and Europe. Analysts and fans were divided over whether the improved features justified the incremental pricing of the refreshed vehicle. There's nothing to debate. The refreshed Model 3 is the latest and greatest of the technology that Tesla has to offer, plus it has better range. Look, I'm not going to get into this debate. The numbers will speak for themselves. The stock ended the week at $254.01, down over 5% on Friday. I know, I've already bought shares. FISKER announced additional details of its affordable Pearl EV priced at $29,999. The company said the EV will feature a unique Houdini trunk that enables owners to load and unload in tight parking situations and to avoid damage in parking structures with low ceilings. FISKER expects manufacturing and deliveries to commence in July 2025. We'll see if they're able to keep that date. The company also announced that it has commenced operations in 3 more European markets, Belgium, Netherlands, and Switzerland. Sales in these countries will begin in September. NIO, XPeng, and Li Auto reported monthly sales. Li Auto led the pack by clocking record deliveries of 34,014 EVs in August, while NIO deliveries came in at 19,320 units, slightly down from July's 20,462 units. This ain't easy, folks. XPeng, which has been struggling recently to push sales, sold 13,690 EVs in August, up from 11,008 units in July. In the future, can we expect similar results from Ford, GM, Stellantis? I don't know, but I do know one thing. They've got a lot of catching up to do. VinFast plunges hard after strong start. After a run-up to a $90 level at the start of the week, Vietnamese EV startup VinFast shares come down from the stratospheric level. The startup, which has yet to establish its credentials as a credible EV maker, has seen its stock rally hard since its public listing through the SPAC route, with the upside attributable mainly to the scarce supply of the stock. At one point, VinFast stock rally took its market cap past several legacy automakers to the number 3 slot after Tesla and Toyota. Alarm bells should be ringing. Analysts have been calling out the stock's strength as irrational exuberance and warned of the collapse of the stock price. VinFast dropping a staggering 57% for the week, and still overvalued in my opinion. Lifestyle EV manufacturer CANOO said Greg Etheridge will take over as CFO. Never heard of CANOO? Don't worry. CANOO is among the EV upstarts that are struggling to transition successfully to the commercial stage. And those are your EV highlights for the week. Unfortunately, it's missing the most important thing that happened last week when you're talking about Tesla and transportation as a whole. You guessed it. There's nothing in here that talks about Elon Musk showcasing full self-driving version 12 to the world. Considering it didn't get much airtime in the mainstream financial news media, I'm not shocked that it's not here in this article about the biggest EV news stories of the week. Instead, we get news about FISKER's Houdini trunk that's coming in 2020. Insane. But don't worry, I got you.
FSD, can you give us a breakdown of this recent weekend? It seems Elon Musk is testing out features live on his other company's platform, X.com. Curious what your thoughts are, and yeah, if you can break this down for us, it'd be great.
Yeah, so this Friday night, I believe, Elon went live on X.com, showing a video of him and, well, he didn't show the person in the passenger seat, but it sounds a lot like the head of autopilot. His name is Ashok Alaswamy. So they were test driving version 12 of FSD, Tesla's full self-driving software. Why do we care about watching this video? Well, it's not out with consumers yet. So this is, something that the average person has not seen yet. It was a roughly 45-minute video. He drives around Palo Alto. It's clear that the system isn't perfect, but what's different about this versus what's in consumer cars today is that this latest generation of FSD is much more, there's it's fewer, it's less generated by, let's say, manually coded or like rules-based AI. It's more that the data itself is curated versus the code lines curated to what you want. So the way to think of this is, or the way it was described is, okay, the car's not explicitly coded to know what a stop sign is. It's just shown videos of people correctly responding to stop signs, which, by the way, no one does. It's like less than 1% of people actually come to 0 miles per hour at a stop sign. But they find those videos that are the correct driver behavior and then feed that to the system to train it what to do. So it learns, directly off video. It's closer to this video in, driving out system that Elon has always wanted to build.
Yeah, I saw a few tweets, and I think it was a quote by Elon saying, "This is all neural nets, nothing but nets."
Right.
So can you, and is that kind of what you're hinting at here? This is not rules based. This is, as you mentioned, data in, and then you get, correct driving behavior out.
Exactly. So if you think of like the full autonomy stack, there's, perception, planning, control. There's different, pieces that add up to this puzzle of actually getting the car to drive itself. It used to be that this method, sort of the more like, totally neural net based, like end-to-end deep learning type of method was used in pieces of the stack, but not the full stack. So that's the major change. So again, it's more like video in, output out. It's probably closer to that ideal than they ever have been before. And what's impressive about it is that it seems like it works. I mean, there was one intervention point, and we should probably talk about that. But in the 45-minute drive, they attempt to go to the Google Maps address of Mark Zuckerberg's house and then drive away. They go to and from the Tesla headquarters, and it mostly works. And it's not even in shadow mode yet, meaning shadow mode is when they take a new software feature, they run it in the background of the consumer Tesla cars to see when would the output that the simulation is running differ from what the driver does. And then they use that to train the system. So they haven't even done that step yet. So the fact that there was one intervention, I think, is relatively impressive.
What was the intervention?
Yeah, so they're at a stop. They're at an intersection with multiple stoplights, and basically it appears as if the car is assuming that the stoplight that it's actually meant for the left-hand side lane to turn is meant for the vehicle itself. So the car was going straight, not turning left, but it abided by the left-hand turn stoplight. So first of all, very minor, although I've seen a number of headlines about this. Elon, the car moves maybe a foot forward before Elon stops it. He recognizes it right away. So I saw some headlines that were like, it was going to run a red light. There's still someone behind the wheel training this thing. So I don't think it was close to endangering anyone. But yes, it's not perfect yet.
And then, well, this is a side note, but I was thinking about this the other day. Humans have interventions with each other all the time, as in if you have a passenger, sometimes that passenger will, speak up and say, hey, you just missed the exit, or
Extremely valid point. I'm already on record saying that the FSD beta version 11.4.4 is a better driver than me already. Hell, it actually knows its limitations, whereas sometimes I do not.
but it's interesting to think that, we intervene with each other when we're driving in the same car pretty often. At least maybe maybe I'm just a bad driver, because I feel like I get yelled at all the time for missing exits because I space out. But, I think that is kind of it was just a thought that popped into my head. Like, this actually happens to humans quite often.
Yes. And, Elon, so you're actually touching on something that was also in this video, which Elon says that the system technically could work without maps. So in other words, he said, well, you could just give it a GPS point and it might not know how to drive there. Like it might go down a dead end and then realize, oh, I'm at a dead end, and then turn back around to get to, the correct route to where you need to be. So yeah, this, I think the first version of autonomous cars that we will see, what is important? Well, are they safer than humans? We're already seeing that with autopilot. Our analysis suggests that a car with full self-driving enabled is already safer than a human-driven Tesla. It's certainly safer than the national average, but safer than a human-driven Tesla. And we use Tesla's, self-produced accident data to verify that. And then, can it drive in harsh weather scenarios? That's something people care about a lot. Well, humans aren't that good at driving in harsh weather. So I would guess that, the car is going to be cautious. Ashok mentioned in the video that it'll likely slow down in a rainstorm, similar to what we would do. But it's trained on human driving data, so it'll mostly try to mimic what we already do. And so, yeah, I don't think it'll be perfect. As you said, maybe it'll take a wrong turn sometimes. I think it'll likely be better than a human, and that's what matters. And then ultimately cheaper than a human, too. So, we think what's going to drive this market is that robo-taxis could be actually cheaper than driving your personal car, but certainly cheaper than ride-hail prices today. Or, you could imagine ride-hail produces a nice price ceiling for robotaxis to charge like a $4 per mile rate, but it could be as low as less than $1 at scale.
Mm-hmm. And then my last question on this topic, the distinction between hardware 3 and hardware 4. I know there was some commentary from Elon about this. I think this drive was done on hardware 3 and not hardware 4. And could you explain that distinction, what the hope is with hardware 4 and why this was done on hardware 3?
Yeah, so I actually think it was great that it was done on hardware 3, because there's been this question of, if I have a previous generation, so these hardwares are, hardware 4 is Tesla's latest in-house produced chip. It's the compute that goes into the car itself, to be, think of it as like the brains of the autonomous car. So it's actually good to show it on the previous generation system, because that was a question. Okay, will autonomy first only work on hardware 4 vehicles? Will it work on hardware 3? If this is already running in a hardware 3 car, which you can think of as basically slightly less optimized, each incremental version of hardware that they come out with is going to be more optimized to what they think, will be the best solution to run full autonomy, right? So I think that showing that it works on a previous generation of hardware kind of gives everyone hope that, okay, yeah, when Tesla told me that my vehicle had the hardware necessary to become a robotaxi, it looks like seemingly that was true, assuming that they saw full autonomy, which we think that they will. So I think that's good. And we know that to really get into the weeds, that Tesla's moving more towards using things like diffusion models, which I've heard will work better on next generation hardware, but also be better to backwards integrate on hardware 3 because of the memory and compute power that it has. So all in all, I think that might have been kind of a sigh of relief to people watching.
And there you have it. More analysis in that one interview than the entire week of the finance news media. Maybe it's because they really don't understand the ramifications of what Fsd 12 offers. Your guess is as good as mine. In conclusion, Tesla price cuts dominate the news cycle, overshadowing even the revamped Model 3 Highland. FISKER expects manufacturing and deliveries by July 2025 of its Pear EV, reasonably priced under $30,000. NIO, XPeng, and Li Auto, for the most part, making strides in their deliveries. VinFast comes back to earth with record speed. CANOO makes a change at the CFO, but let's be honest, they're going to continue to struggle. And Tasha Keeney gives us a breakdown of version 12. That's all I got for you today. Be easy. Peace.